What's up, guys? This is Dan from Guitar from the Heart. Today I want to do something a little bit different. You see, I realized that I've been playing the guitar, actually, and this surprises me, but I've actually been playing the guitar for just about 20 years already. 20 years! What? I just started playing like the other day when I was 15, but I guess 20 years went by. After 20 years, you would think you would have a little bit of wisdom, at least a little bit, with regards to how to do something well. So today I want to share with you 5 things that I think are really important that can help you to focus on them to become a good guitar player. That's the good stuff. So first things first, a little disclaimer before I start here. I want to say that most of what I'm going to share in this video is just pretty much common sense. But again, after actually putting in 20 years of really breaking my back trying to become a better guitar player, some seasons where I put a lot of work in a short period of time, sometimes where I went for years without doing a whole lot on the instrument. But after all of this time, I've kind of learned what you can focus on that will really help you to get where you want to go faster, and what is kind of like not going to really help you that much. So I want to give you these 5 things that will help you. If you focus on them and you stay with it, you will become a good guitar player with time. Now, I wrote the 5 things here on my board that I'm reading off of, but I don't really know what order I'm going to do. So it's not in any particular order of importance. Everything I'm going to mention has to do with these guys here, your hands, right, your body, your physical instrument, and these guys right here. Well, actually, one thing, probably the most important, doesn't involve those physical things. But anyway, let's go into it. Number 1, building your physical skills on a guitar. Now, in the very beginning, this is the biggest hurdle, but it continues to be a challenge even as we progress through different stages of development, from going from a beginner to being an intermediate level player to becoming like, I'm pretty good, I'm better than everybody I know, to trying to go all the way to expert. Everybody, no matter where you are as a guitar player, everybody wants to go to the next level, and it's always going to involve having to get better with the physical aspect of playing. My little bit of a wisdom tip here is just to say this: there's nothing that's going to substitute for time with the instrument. You always hear this with anybody who is great at playing any instrument. They develop a bond with their instrument, meaning there's a physical connection, and it becomes almost like a relationship. The more time you're spending with the instrument, the more it becomes where you're going to create a bond, and you're going to be able to, the interface between you and the instrument is going to be less of a hurdle. So you have something that you want to say musically, you want to express through the instrument, and to get that through the physical instrument is going to be a challenge. But the more you spend the time with the instrument, you're going to develop more skills. Some of them you might have to learn through studying different techniques and whatnot, and others you might just kind of develop intuitively with time. But the more you spend the time with that instrument, the more you're going to be able to build those physical skills. So that's my little wisdom tip for building the physical skills. You need time to practice, obviously. You need to learn how to do techniques correctly and all of that. But there's nothing that can substitute for time with the instrument. Spend time with the instrument, even if sometimes you're not holding the guitar right, you're not doing everything perfectly. Spend time with the instrument. You will develop a connection, and you will be able more and more to be able to do techniques correctly, and to be able to flow from what you have to say from your body and from your mind straight through the guitar, and be able to play from your heart. The second thing that you really want to develop in the beginning, in the middle, and even as you become more advanced, is the ability of memorizing shapes and memorizing where to put your fingers. This is one of the reasons why I did a whole series before this on like where to put your fingers to play all the notes in one key. And also, this is relevant when you're trying to memorize chords and all of this. So you want to spend time with diagrams and memorize those shapes and where to put your fingers. This is something that is really going to help you to become a good guitar player with time. If you do just enough of it for whatever you're trying to learn, right wherever you are right now, if you do just enough of it, of spending the time to memorize those shapes and those diagrams and where those little dots are, where you're going to put your fingers, and then you take the instrument and you build that memorization connection, kind of like part one of spending time with the instrument, where you have the diagram, you memorize it, you visualize it, but now you actually execute it on the instrument, and now you have to burn that into your memory. Where are those dots? Where do I put my fingers to make a D chord? Where do I put my fingers to play a pentatonic scale? Blah, blah, blah. So this is memorizing your shapes and where to put your fingers. This is the second skill that you're really going to need to go forward with to develop your skills and become a good guitar player. So you see there, number 1 and number 2 are pretty similar to one another, and they kind of overlap. The number 3 skill that's important for becoming a good guitar player is to actually learn real musical knowledge. Now, this is a frustrating part for a lot of people, and it certainly has been a frustrating part for me. But let me tell you something. Some things you can invest a lot of time in and get low yield results, and some things you could spend less time and get high yield results. Learning the actual musical stuff, the actual musical language, learning about notes, music theory, and all of this is really important for any musician, okay? Not just for guitar players, but any musician. And I like to think of it this way. If you're a guitar player, but first you're a musician. You understand what I'm saying? What do guitar players do? They play music. If you're not playing music as a guitar player, then you're not a musician. You're just a guy that blah, blah, blah makes noise. But if you actually have something to say, then you're going to want to learn the language that it's going to take to be able to get that out and through the instrument and to your listener. So that's really important, to learn the actual musical language. So basically, what does this involve? This involves music theory, learning the major scale, learning the intervals of the major scale, learning what's an interval, what's a perfect fourth, what's a minor sixth, all of that stuff. How do I form chords? How do I form triads? What's the formula for a dominant 7 chord? 1, 3, 5, flat 7, right? What are all the chords that are in one given key? How do I play them? Well, that's something, a whole study that's called the harmonized major scale. What's a relative minor scale? And all of these kind of things are things that in the past, I put a lot of content. If you go through my channel, a lot of boring stuff on this channel that you could go through, because this is so important. It's one of the main aspects of becoming a musician in general, is to be able to speak the language, to know enough of it to get by. I'm not like one of those guys that really loves to like roll out of my bed and look at some boring music theory book. But I realized at some point that if I want to speak Spanish, I'm going to have to know a few words to be able to communicate with someone who can only speak Spanish, right? And so it's the same way with music. And as guitar players, if you really want to say something through the music and you want to say it effectively, you need to know at least a little bit of the language. Even if you don't understand it, you need to be able to kind of fluently, naturally follow it by ear, or you need to know where to put your fingers. You need to be able to fake it at least. But the more you learn the actual musical knowledge, and the more you learn those other things, the more it's going to become easier and easier for it to just flow right out of you to your audience, to your listener. Sometimes these videos can get exhausting and you need a little coffee break. Anyway, so number 3 was on learning musical knowledge. Number 4 has to do with these puppies right here. Your ears. Did I mention that we're musicians? Guess what? Musicians don't only use their fingers for stuff. They have to use their ears. And this is a concept that I've been talking about, which is that your ears need to be in charge of your fingers. In other words, your fingers carry out the duties. They go and they go make the notes, and they perform the physical stuff that gets the stuff out of your instrument. But your ears and your mind are what should be actually calling the shots and telling your fingers what's going to come next and all of that. And then hopefully you've practiced and you get to the point where your fingers can just kind of like let it rip without any effort, because you've built in the muscle memory, and through practice and through learning where to put your fingers and all that kind of stuff, after a while your fingers can carry out their duties like soldiers that are listening to their commander. But your ears are the commander. Your ears are what's going to actually determine and to decide. Now here's the thing. If your ears are more important than your fingers, your ears are more important than shredding, than speed picking, than all of this nonsense, right? If your ears are more important than all of it, you should take the time to develop them as well. Now here's the thing. How do I develop my ears? There's different approaches to this. There's something called relative pitch and there's something called absolute pitch. Absolute pitch is like having perfect pitch. And it's arguable. My understanding is that adults supposedly can't develop this. So if you're watching this and you're over 5 years of age or something, you probably can't develop perfect pitch anymore. So you want to develop relative pitch. But how do you do that? Well, you do that. You go back to step number, where is it on my board? Oh, that was the previous step. Step number 3, learning actual musical knowledge, right? I talked about intervals. I talked about chords. I talked about all this stuff. When you're practicing learning where to put your fingers, listen to what is coming out of your guitar as you play the stuff. And the more you do it, the more your ears are going to grow accustomed. If you keep playing the major scale, your ears are going to become accustomed. Probably everybody actually knows what the major scale sounds like, because we've heard it our whole lives. Like when I was in school, they made us like sing it and all the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do and all this stuff. And it's been programmed into most of our ears in Western society. But there are other things that you should be learning how to sound out. Like, am I in key right now? Right? That's kind of important, right? Am I in key? Am I off key? We're musicians. If it sounds right, if it sounds good to you, it's probably right. If it sounds like something's off, then probably something is off. Maybe your tuning is off, but probably something more severe, like you're putting your finger in the wrong place. So you want to develop your ears. You want to develop, what does a major third sound like? What does a seventh sound like? And all of this. And to be honest with you, and to be completely fair and transparent, I'm not an expert at all of this. I'm still developing my ear as I go. My fingers are more advanced than my ears. But I could tell if something is major or minor. I could tell if something sounds really like dissonant, or if it sounds like it's harmonizing nice. And guess what? We all kind of like, these are like God-given abilities that we all kind of have right away. And you want to start to leverage that and to develop your ears more and more. But you want to also develop your ears to listen for when you play vibrato, when you're bending. You want to hear if you're staying on pitch, and you want to also use your ears to start to listen back and memorize how things are supposed to sound, like certain chords and chord changes and stuff like that. And someone honks their horn outside. Last thing about ears, one way to help your ears is to just honestly listen to a lot of music. You listen to a lot of music, your ears are going to get better at recognizing certain things, even if you don't know what to call them yet, because you don't have the musical theory part of it. Also, I didn't have this on my board. Quick aside is that you want to focus on your timing and develop your timing, which is really important as a musician to have solid timing. And again, I'm not the best at this. I'm just an aspiring guitar player like all you guys. But I have learned that the tighter I get my timing, the much easier everything gets to make it sound good, especially when it comes time to record something that you've written and fallen in love with. If you can't play it in time, when you go to the studio or when you're trying to record it in your home studio, it becomes really, really difficult to get a satisfactory recording if your timing is not tight. I did mention in some previous videos that I got this this app that I use. In case you want to know, it's called Pro Metronome. See if I can get in focus there. I'll put it in front of my face. There we go. Pro Metronome. It looks like this. If you just go to the App Store and you type in Pro Metronome, you'll get it. I'm pretty sure I put it on one of my other devices that was Android, so it's available there too. Don't quote me, but I think so. It's really good. All right. They're not paying me. Nobody pays me. Nobody pays me for these videos. I'm not to that level yet. So that's your ears and timing. And the fifth and final, but most important aspect of what you need to do, in my humble 20 years of experience, wisdom, is have a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of patience to become a musician. Let me just say it straight. Like, there are some things in life that you can do pretty good after spending like just a couple months on them or a couple of years or whatever. Being a musician is a lifetime thing, and you're going to always be growing for the rest of your life. So just look at it this way, right? You're getting married to your instrument, right? It's like I tell my wife the other day, like I married her to spend the rest of my life with her, right? And so sometimes like that with other things in life, if you really want to grow and to develop, it's a lifetime commitment. It's something that you got to keep going at, no matter how frustrated you get, okay? Sometimes you might need to put it away and say, you know what, I quit. Put it down. Like, there's a video on YouTube where a guy, like, he says, I think it's the angriest guitar player. If you want, I mean, it's kind of not rated PG-13, but if you want to go check it out, you can check it out. I had a couple laughs looking at that. There's one part where this guy's like, I quit, and then like he like puts the pick where you could carefully find it. But like, we all get there at times and we feel like we want to quit and all of that, but don't quit. It's not, you might need to take a break. And there have been times, honestly, and let me tell you something, a little story real quick here. There was a time that I didn't get to play my guitar for like 2 or 3 months. When I was younger too, like I had been like playing for like 2 or 3 years. And I put this guitar down and I was busy with all kind of other stuff, whatever, in high school, whatever. And after the 3 months, I picked up my guitar and I was like, what happened? Like, I picked it up and I just started playing. Like, it was something I had been working on before that. And I was stuck. I was plateaued. And then after, like, I picked up my guitar and I started playing it again, all of a sudden, like, I was playing it way faster than I could do before, and it was effortless. So these kind of things happen. Sometimes you just need a break away from stuff if you really want to grow. Consistency is key. You got to hang in there. You got to have patience. If you don't quit and you do all of these 5 things that I'm saying, and you do them consistently and you do them over a long period of time, and again, I don't want to discourage you. It's not going to take you 20 years, okay? It's not going to take you 20 years to become a good guitar player. It might take you 20 years to get to where you fully want to be. I'm still going there because I haven't implemented all of these throughout my whole life since I started playing. There have been times that I slacked and stuff like that. But if you keep doing these things and you keep working on them all the time, I guarantee you, you will become a much better guitar player, and definitely you will become a good guitar player in the eyes of other people, and I think in your own eyes too. So sorry if this was a little bit of a long video, but I really just kind of wanted to share that because sometimes it does help to have the advice of someone who has gone ahead of you and who has gone through the struggles and all of that. And this is my little bit of encouragement to you. Just keep with it, and you will eventually arrive. I think you will become a good guitar player in a very short amount of time if you do these, but you will become a better and better guitar player and a very mature and fulfilled guitar player, ultimately, who will be able to play the guitar straight from their hearts. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and if you want to see more videos like this, and if you want to see all of those musical theory and stuff like that, you could go through the channel and check it out. There's I put a lot of what I've learned, and I condensed it into a format where it's a lot easier to digest, I think, if you look through it there. So for now, take care, play the guitar from the heart, and have fun with that. Thanks for watching.